the International Association of Professional Life Coaches. And today I'm interviewing Susan Hakiman, the Life Weaver. So Susan, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
Great. Well, first of all, why don't you tell us what you mean by the Life Weaver?
Well, I chose the name the Life Weaver because I think there are two forces working in our lives. I think we create these patterns from mixture of fate and of choice. And it's kind of like a loom, the threads that kind of go vertically, though that's fate, where we were born and your family and, maybe some certain other things. But we have a lot of choice about what we choose, the colors and the patterns that we choose to weave the loom in a horizontal fashion. And I just love that weaving analogy about how we create our lives and weave our lives. So that's why I chose that name. It also goes very beautiful with hand analysis, because there are two systems I look in your hands in hand analysis, which is first your fingerprint system, and that is what I definitely would call, fate. That's your life purpose. And your fingerprints, of course, they never change. They come into being between 14 and 16 weeks of gestation, and they identify you. And we all know about that, like on CSI and all these crime programs. But they also identify who you are, I think, on a deeper level. Some people call it soul agenda, soul psychology, or life purpose. It's all kind of the same thing. And then your hands really, although there are some basic personality aspects in, the shape of your hands, but hands can and do change. Yes, hands can and do change. And your lines can change a little bit. Fingers can straighten and crooked. And that has a lot to do with the choices that you make. That's those beautiful horizontal patterns. And I just thought that those two just meshed so beautifully. And that's why I chose that name.
Great. So you do hand analysis.
Yes, I
And
do.
how did you get interested in reading hands, Susan?
Well, all my life, especially when I was younger, I was interested in palmistry and things like that. And then as I, got older, I, got married and had my children, and that part of me kind of got put aside. So in my mid-40s, I hit a wall. And I hit a wall that it's like I was stuck and I couldn't get through. And I started reconnecting with that very intuitive part of me that I'd kind of left behind. And that's when I learned Reiki. I have second degree Rainbow Reiki training. That's when I started, journaling and doing other things like that. And quite by accident, I found out about hand analysis. And I joined like a monthly mastermind class. And I just wanted to check it out and see, what is this? Is it accurate? And I found the information so helpful and so accurate that it just really helped me understand myself, that I decided that I wanted to study it and help other people the way I had been helped.
Great. That's how a lot of people get into what they're doing is by just having that experience and finding something that really helps.
Yeah, it's almost like when I heard about it, I almost felt called. There was this really strong connection, because of course there's many modalities out there that you can kind of get to what's going on, but this one really called to me.
Great. So tell us what life purpose hand analysis is, Susan.
Well, life purpose hand analysis is a very innovative, and I really want to stress non-predictive way of interpreting what your hands have to say. And the man who really kind of had an intuitive download about the fingerprints, his name was Richard Unger. And what happened with him, he had been reading hands for many years, and it was like something wasn't clicking. He would find people with similar markings on their hands, but they would act really different. And so he went back to study more, and he ended up going to medical libraries. And it was what he was studying there that he understood that your fingerprints are like a map. And he literally said he had an intuitive download. It was like he remembered what the fingerprint patterns meant. And so he began to try it out with his clients. And it just was his readings became much deeper and much more helpful for his clients. And then he began to teach it, his system. And so for about 25 years, with about over 45,000 different people, this system's been tried out. And it's very accurate and very repeatable. And I do want to say it's non-predictive.
Yes. That's good. And I might just also interject here that I've had you do my hand analysis, and it was pretty amazing just how accurate it was and just how insightful it is, too.
Well, one of the good thing, how can I put it? One reason why you would want to do that, or I wanted to do that, is when things happen in our lives, it's like a flashlight. And whereas before we didn't understand why maybe something was so difficult for us or why we were so drawn to some things, when we have the information in our hands that we know these things about us, and it helps us make choices that can really affirm who we really are. It gives us almost a little bit like a map, that we know, yes, this is probably a good thing, this will be helpful to us, these are some potential pitfalls for my personality. And it also allows us to be a little bit more gentle with ourselves, because we are going to, we're going to step in those pitfalls some of the time, and we know how to begin to climb out. It just gives us a lot of understanding about why we want to do things. It gives you understanding about how you think, if you're an intuitive thinker or an analytical thinker. It gives you a lot of information about your emotional system, your basic personality. It's really fascinating, and how you can put it all together to create a story of you.
Mm-hmm. Great. So let's talk about some of the benefits that people get from having their hand analyzed.
Sure. Well, one of them is that you really have an objective statement of what your life purpose is. Finding out your life purpose in coaching circles is very popular right now. But all the other methods, at least that I'm personally aware of, are either filtered through your personality or the personality of someone else. But this is literally decoded from your fingerprints. So it's very objective. It's not run through anybody's personality. And I think that's very important. Also, and I kind of touched on it before, you can make conscious choices because you have more knowledge about about yourself. And so you can make these choices in a conscious way versus an unconscious way. And there's a real difference in the value of these choices if you make them consciously or unconsciously. You also understand what makes you thrive. And that is, I love gardening. And if you're going to plant a rose, to get your rose to thrive, it needs at least 6 hours of sun, it needs lots of water, and it needs to be fed. Whereas if you're planting a different type of plant, maybe it doesn't need that rich soil, or it needs more shade, or it needs something else. So you have this information about yourself. Another really great benefit of having your hand analyzed is when you do hit those walls, and we all hit the walls, because you can especially look at something we call your life lesson. And that's the first place you look. How am I doing in my life lesson? What's going on there? And that begins to get almost like these, I'm going to use these these gears moving to get things moving, and you understand what can stop those gears.
Mm-hmm.
So those are four really, I think, important benefits that have been very helpful not only to me, but to a number of my clients. You, for example.
Yes. I know that my experience of it was that I was able to verify that I'm in the right profession, and
Mm-hmm.
also that the things that I have a challenge with really are part of my life lesson, and it's okay.
Yes, and you can begin to redefine that from a defect, like what's wrong with me, to this is a skill I need to learn. This is something I'm just not good at, but you can learn and you can get better. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been given that lesson.
Right. And supposedly we choose all of our lessons, so.
Yes, I know. I know.
So when people want to contact you further about this, what do you have, or what do you do for them?
Well, we always start out with what I call a breakthrough session. And that is it's about a half hour to 45 minutes, and we just get to know each other a little bit. I send you a worksheet beforehand that you would fill out, and then I kind of see where we can meet, and then we kind of go on from there. And of course, that's my gift to you. That's complimentary. But I do offer several levels of hand analysis. Some is just a hand analysis, and some people also want, okay, this is the information, but how do I apply it? Because it's really two processes. One is to get the information, and one is to say, okay, I have the artist life purpose. What does that mean? And how am I going to incorporate that in all parts of my life? So I also have packages where where I help people actually begin to step into it and begin to define it and understand it for them.
Great. Okay.
And you can contact me either through my website, which is www.thelifeweaver.com, or you can also email me directly, which is info@thelifeweaver.com, and I will get right back to you, and we'll go on from there.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Susan.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for listening.
Bye.